All right. Ian, thanks so much for doing this. And I'd love to hear a little bit about, who you are, what you do, and just the answer to three basic questions, Ian, which was everybody wants to know. Why did you join the course, Build Your ISA course? What have you learned? What results have you gotten in the time you've been in the course and the training and the coaching? And what would you say to someone that's considering joining? It's kind of on the fence, not sure. It's an investment for sure, but they're like, man, should I join? Should I not join? What would you say to those folks? Go for it, man.
Well, so if you're skeptical about joining, specifically with people, you are gonna. I mean, this is like it can be costly because you're dealing with people. And we actually just did our books, and we realized our prior call center partner, we were like bleeding money for months. And so we would have probably made an extra, $100,000 this year if we had just done this all on our own since the beginning this year, which is a lot of money for us at this stage. And so, I mean, that's kind of one way to think about it is there's a lot of things about managing people that can be difficult with this business, and which you've obviously done a lot of. But just kind of, realizing, I mean, you kind of have to ask yourself what you want too. I mean, for us, like we want to have a big call team with 100 plus people. And I know you also have people in the program that just want to have 2 ISAs. And really, 2 good people can produce way more than whatever you're charging for it, which is great. The thing too was like, I mean, at least when I was building this on my own, I didn't even know who to ask for help or how to get help from anywhere. So this was kind of one of the options that came up. And then, thankfully, we've been kind of associated with each other in Facebook groups for a while, so that made it simple. And then we also have been kind of a unique area of practice too. We work with immigration lawyers. We have a lot of other restrictions we need to pay attention to. And so having just kind of all the hiring and all that structured and really easy to deal with made it a lot easier to deal with like industry restrictions. Because obviously our onboarding process, it's really important that, I mean, because they can give one person legal advice and then there's a $50,000 fine for the lawyer. And so just kind of having like a smooth indoctrination process that really highlights those important things, because we want that instead of them being worried about learning about the dialers and all this stuff, which you'd help with their training, it made it a lot simpler to highlight hey, these are the automatic failures. This is what you're going to get let go. Because some people don't even know those things. They're so busy trying to figure out the job the first few days, they actually miss a lot of this fundamental knowledge, which is critical. And so, and that was one kind of big thing is we really structured a lot of the onboarding for them. And even the existing ISAs have noticed some of the changes recently, and they've been happy to see that, they have.
Gotcha. So you would say that like adding structure and adding a lot more, heft to that onboarding process is one of the things that, that you picked up from the course when you really focus a lot on. Would you say that?
Yeah, absolutely. So we definitely picked up a lot of that onboarding structure and everything. The course itself is very simple to follow. And then, I mean, a lot of people that run call centers are former like IT guys that don't communicate very well, because, and that's not really the case with you because you have, sales, you're a good communicator. And that was kind of one of the things, I was talking to these other call center consultants or people I know that know call centers. They're like former, AT&T like specialists. And so they talk to me all about the setup and the tech. I'm like, I wouldn't even know how to do that on my own. Whereas you kind of made it very simple where it's like, hey, this is what you need to know to get started. And obviously we're having like, remote people at home. Then also some of this, because we already had a team walking into it, there was kind of some fundamental things that I had to relearn working with you, which was really helpful. So kind of realizing if we'd started with this, we probably would have been better off. But that's that's just how it is though. You make mistakes, so
exactly 100%. And again, you've done pretty well. So I think that's not probably a massive mistake that you would have made, but you made the change, you made the switch. And I think that's going from an outsourced solution to an in-house solution. I think is kind of a path for like a more mature marketing agency, which is what you run, right? I think at the beginning you have to outsource a lot of stuff. I mean, a lot of functions. As an agency owner, you got to do sales, fulfillment, calling and lead generation and marketing and graphics and all these things. The more you outsource right off the bat and you focus on the core of your business, I think is a really smart thing to do. But as you mature and your agency gets more mature, you get more experience as a leader. I think you have to be strategic about which one of those functions you bring in, and looks, and just from the numbers you threw out at the beginning, this decision, if that's going to save you $100 grand a year and scale up your agency it's like, you know, huge no brainer for you guys.
Yeah, and there's a lot of great call centers out there. Well, you own a call center. People outsource to.
100%. Me. I'm one of them. I'm one of the good ones.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's you do have to kind of like realize and recognize that, you know, that money was going somewhere. We did get a lot of good structures and processes. We got to the point where we wanted to own our company culture though. And then, you know, but for example, one thing that happened with our prior partner one day was their direct direct deposit platform didn't work. So my whole team, you know, whatever, 12, 14 people at the time, all had to go downstairs and sit in line with 500 other people or 300 or however many hundreds of people to get paid.
Wow.
And so those are kind of some of the restrictions. But I mean, overall, like one of the big things with this is like when we took the course, we were in the process of and bought out like our call center partners. So we pretty much paid for the right to hire those people. And it would have been way, way more stressful to go from having, you know, 0 actual contractors, we were just paying a retainer every month, to all of a sudden having, you know, payroll for 12 people. And especially, and it was really challenging. Like we didn't have any policies for this. And right now, like, you know, we didn't have a time off policy. We didn't have all this stuff. And thankfully you dealt with all these things. So it was, yeah, we're really, I mean, there's no issue I brought up that you hadn't dealt with already, which was really helpful. I mean, because we had, like, I don't know, I think if like a month ago or so, Gus, we were talking about how someone was potentially prospecting from within our business to, you know, hire them away for one of our other clients to poach some people from us, which, you know, some things like that. Looks like my phone's ringing, so I don't know if you want to edit that out, but I'll.
No worries. I will. We'll.
And then one thing too was that we didn't really know who we were hiring with the call center too. So now we get to screen people, we get their CVs, we get their resumes, and depending on how in depth you want to do it, then your form for hiring, we took part of that, integrated it into our process, and you know, it was, people told me it'd be really easy to do it, or not easy, but you know, not as hard as I thought it'd be to do it on my own. But the course made it a lot simpler.
Awesome, that's great. And what's your team at right now? What does it look like, and where do you want to be?
Yeah.
You know, 6 months down the line, a year down the line.
So our goal is to, our next milestone is 30 agents. I think we have 14, but 2 left just this last day. It's Monday right now, so you know, last Friday 2 left, and then we just hired 3. 1 dropped off in the first day because he got a different offer, you know, 2 hours later, which is something we're gonna have to deal with. And then you know, as far as the hiring goes, it's been very simple. And then also one thing I like about the course is you give multiple ways for people to hire. So we mostly stick with Indeed, referrals, and Facebook groups. I know you're running ads, which I think is a good idea too. It's you know, being in a legal space, we're looking for a certain type of person. So there was kind of multiple outlets to find them, which was one thing that was really helpful. Then one thing too, just kind of the mindset is like people want these kind of jobs too. You know, you just realize that, you know, it's a really important thing. So if someone does want to sign up for your course, I mean, I think it's a good investment too, because it's mostly just about building a remote sales team. You know, it's not necessarily about, you know, owning specifically an ISA service, but you know, I'm a marketing agency and you also have real estate agents in there, which you both have different concerns. But you know, one of the other people in the program actually suggested a payroll platform that we're now using, so that was a really helpful thing. So that was a really quick setup. You know, obviously, like, you know, being with real estate agents, you know, we don't work with real estate agents anymore. That was how we got into the ISA space. But you know, now where I am now, we work with lawyers. But it was kind of helpful just seeing like their perspective of, oh, what are their concerns about an ISA, like, you know, just, and different things about how to manage all that. So it's definitely a good solid group.
Yeah,
in there.
definitely that masterminding component has been, you know, you never know what to expect. When you launch a project like this, you kind of hope there's some good interaction. A lot of times our coaching calls are really been structured around, hey, bring me your questions and we'll rotate around that. That's how it started and how it went for the first few iterations. But it's been great to see as the group matures and as we get more people in those coaching calls, that people want to contribute, right? They're like, hey, they start off being kind of shy, not really sure. And then once they kind of get through the course, I'm like, oh, I've dealt with some of these issues. And they see someone newer to the process or newer just to the course. they can actually jump in and help them out, right? Or they touch on a topic and I'm just not an expert in. Like, for example, like real estate CRMs, which I thought I was a pretty good expert in until I found someone in the course, in the coaching call,
Yeah.
that was a massive expert. Like, oh, holy cow, let's see what this guy wants to say. Because this topic, I can recognize expertise when I see it. And I'm like, hey, let's let him, jump in and give his take on this question, right? So that's been a really awesome dynamic to see build up as the leader and the instructor. It's been great to see people jump in and have some of that dynamic play out more and more, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's I really enjoyed the program too. I mean, we were at a kind of a stage where we just like needed guidance, but we also got there because we didn't really have any guidance for a long time. So even just some of these simple questions, as far as just dealing with people too. You got to remember, this is a business. You're dealing with people. It's not just you pay someone $500 and they pay you 2,000 or whatever your split is. It's like the bigger your team gets, the more garbage there is, the more these policies become important. And we really want to prevent some of these larger issues. And then even if you're hiring 2-3 people, one of the people we hired recently was really nervous to work with us because she was her prior employer had literally just cut them off entirely. They didn't get paid. They haven't heard from them since. And they didn't even say anything. And so it's kind of this skepticism and fear people are walking into it with. And you have to realize that, it's, if you're watching this, you're probably wanting to hire an ISA. You probably didn't stumble across this entirely. It's that, a lot of the people you're working with have the same fears and concerns that you do. And that's, and that's something you really need to look at and check, is just to realize, you're managing people. And this is kind of a business where there's going to be some drama. You're going to have to deal with that. And then, there's also going to be turnover too. It's not as simple as, this isn't like just white labeling your ads. There's tons of these white label ad companies. And then if you want to work with these people, you're going to have to do those things. So it's been solid though. But yeah, as we wrap up here, is there anything else you want me to touch on, Gus?
Oh no, man, that's it. I appreciate you talking about it, answering some questions for folks. That's been super, super helpful. Thank you so much, Ian. And man, you've been doing amazing progress. You're one of the folks that have joined the course. There's actually only been a couple of folks joining the course that had an ISA team. The other folks from the Xander team, I think we had 5 or 6 ISA when we started, also with a plan to grow. And they're like, you know what, we can figure this out on our own. We'll figure it out eventually, or we can ask Gus for help and just hey, accelerate that learning, accelerate that progress. And it's been great to see them kind of grow, and I think they want to be 15 by the end of the year. They're on track for that. It's been great to see you just kind of take ownership of that team. It was kind of like starting from scratch.
All of a sudden
with a 14-person team though, which is really, really challenging. But kudos for you to taking that on, taking the bull by the horns. And it's been great seeing the progress you've made these last few weeks. So awesome, man. Congrats.
It's great working with you. I think another big advantage is you're actually in Mexico, and so you understand a bit more of the culture and the laws there. Not that that's direct advice you can provide, but just kind of, me, I don't understand the laws, but I mean, you help me show them how
exactly. And we have folks with ISAs kind of all over, but our expertise, the core thing that we do, the value add that we provide, is sourcing, training, and getting candidates from Mexico and Latin America and preparing them for the US market. So when someone like yourself comes in wanting that, it's like, man, there's no one else. I don't know anybody else that does what we do at this scale, at this level, has the experience that we have in that specific niche. But yeah, absolutely, man. It's been awesome. Great. Glad that we connected and we've been able to add a ton of value for you.
Yeah, I think it's funny. And you're also a client of one of our lawyers too. So
yeah,
you already knew one of our
that was probably one of the funniest, funniest thing ever, because the first thing I noticed, for the people that don't know this, I'm an immigrant to the US. I went through the whole process. And I remember, the lawyer that I met, found him on Googled out like immigration attorney in San Diego, California. And this guy didn't just pop up like first in that whole process. He was like amazing, right? And I remember remarking, holy cow, this guy really has this like online, presence and lead gen and all the content. This guy's on point. And then later I found out that Ian, was one of the guys on his team. Like, well, that makes sense, right? Because this guy's like, a really, really, really pro at like probably one of the top in the country. in that level, right? Like in that level of presence, and has his systems down pat, and has a massive team, massive business. So really, so that caught my eye about Ian. Hey, so I guess you must know what you're doing. You know, you must know what you're talking about with these topics. And then I later found out how much, how involved you were in that process. Like a good chunk of that outreach team and that experience as a brand new client, you designed for them, which I thought was really cool. So immediately I was interested and impressed. Hey, Ian, we should find a way to work together later. Because I definitely saw you as having the mad skills. So, you know, and my audience is mostly real estate agents, but there's a lot of online marketers, hopefully a few immigration attorneys. If you're looking for some online presence and bump that up, man, you really should talk to Ian. Does an amazing job, and I know he has a great ISA team just off the bat, right? So definitely should check him out.
They've sold you stuff before, which was funny.
Yeah,
absolutely. Oh man, when I told that guy who was signing up, it was funny. I think he talked to one of our agents like 15 times or so. It was hilarious.
Yeah, pretty crazy. And what's a way for people to reach out to you? You know, if you want to continue the conversation.
Yeah, so I'd say LinkedIn's my main platform. That's kind of something. So hit us up on there. Immigrationfinder.com is the one way to do it. I mean, if you Google Immigration Finder, I think we're one of the only agencies, or I think we may be the only agency that does immigration specific with ISAs. There's a number of other good companies that are in the legal niche that do it too. Yeah, immigrationfinder.com. Ian Almasi on LinkedIn is a solid one, but it's a good place to be. But it's been a great interview, Gus. I've been loving the program. I'll see you in our next call. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks so much. All right.